23rd. Would like to note for the record that this meeting was duly advertised and we do have a quorum present. Thank you everybody for being here. Members, the minutes of our March 25th meeting are in your packet, and I'll be happy to let you review those and have any discussion that might be necessary. That was a rather significant meeting where we were joined by our friends from the county IDB. So take a moment to review those, and if there's any questions, let's hear them. Otherwise, I'll be happy to hear a motion to approve whenever you're ready.
I'll make a motion to be approved.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Those minutes are approved. At this time, I'll be happy to hear from anybody, hey Melody, who would like to address this board, any member of the public. And seeing none, we'll move to our only resolution for this morning, which is authorizing an award of a growing small business incentive grant to Nichols Fleet Equipment, Inc. in the amount of $10,000. Do I have someone here who'd like to present on that item? Yes, sir. What's your name and address and affiliation for the record, please?
Good morning. My name is Nick Nichols. I'm the Vice President of Nichols Fleet Equipment Incorporated. Our new address is 2805 Riverport Road here in Chattanooga, just off Amnicola Highway.
Wonderful.
So, thank you all for having me this morning. Glad to be here.
Your presentation this morning?
Looks like it's up.
We don't seem to have it on our monitors here. Okay. Looks like, go ahead and we can follow along in the slides.
Are y'all able to see it?
We got it.
Okay, great. Well, would you like me to get going, tell you a little bit about who we are, what we do? Yeah, so we are local company here, have been since our founding in 1991. We are an upfitter of truck-mounted equipment. So these are trucks that you've likely seen on the road and maybe paid little attention to, or maybe you have. But a lot of people don't really know exactly what it is that we do. We still have a lot of people that have known us for many, many years that think that we're in some sort of trucking logistics. But what we do is we take a truck chassis, a frame rails, and we upfit it with equipment. And the primary function of the equipment that we put onto trucks and sell to our customers is for field service of heavy equipment. So our customers will include really anyone that is running heavy equipment on job sites. So that could be the heavy equipment dealers. So we sell to the Cat dealers, the Komatsu dealers, the Deere dealers. We will sell to large rental companies that are sending field service technicians out to perform maintenance on equipment on job sites. We do a lot with folks like TVA, big utilities. So those are essentially the things that we get into, the trucks that we build. You can see here an example of the two primary trucks that we do. On the left, you'll see two examples of field service mechanics trucks. Those are trucks that have bodies with compartments on them that a mechanic will put tools and parts that are needed to go out and perform maintenance work. If you're out running a big excavator and your excavator breaks, it's not exactly practical to pick it up and take it back to the shop to work on it, right? So these trucks have a mechanic in it who's going to go out and do that work on site. So it may have a welder on it, so they can weld a shovel on an excavator. It will have a crane if they need to pull an engine block up out of a machine to do work on it. That's essentially what those do, and those are the two on the left here. On the right, you can see two examples of fuel and lube trucks. These are easy way to think of this as a gas station and an oil change station on wheels. So these trucks are going to go out on job sites, perform oil changes on equipment. They're going to fuel up the equipment. It's all about uptime for the end user, all about keeping those big machines up and running and building roads and building houses and building all the things that we need to get built, and these trucks are what we do. Some other examples of things that we get into, you'll see on the right the large knuckle boom crane. We talk articulating crane there. We do a lot of those. We do in the middle in the red there a lot of high reach aerial trucks as well. A couple of other examples, you can see a lube truck there fueling up a big dump truck there on the left. The blue truck in the upper left is just an example of, we get into a lot of customization for customers of ours. So one customer wanted a blue and orange truck. The one in the middle is a large John Deere construction outfit out of Florida that we do a lot with. We customize their trucks with their wraps and logos and things like that. On the bottom left, you'll see some smaller, lighter duty trucks that we do for a large equipment rental company based out of Louisiana. Bottom center is a big 4x4 off-road machine we did for TVA, going out into some gnarly stuff, so they need a big truck that can get out there and get it. And on the right, in the bottom, is a really small little red crane that our local water companies use in there to pull fire hydrants and do work on things like that. So really any sort of truck-mounted equipment we find ourselves getting into, but in large part it's designed to go out and perform that maintenance work on equipment in the field, whether it's a giant bulldozer, giant excavator, or pulling fire hydrants, as you can see there. So some examples. We customize these a lot. Different customers of ours ask for different things. So that picture on the top left is a little slide-out table that we came up with for a customer so that they can torch through metal and not burn up the back of their truck. On the right is a remote control stove for the crane for that particular truck. Those are about $3,000 little remote control right there. So a guy losing that is not exactly ideal. So we came up with a little system there for them that if that thing is not in, if that remote is not in the cradle when that truck gets turned on, he gets a very loud alarm and a blinking light that says, "Hey man, you forgot your remote control, go back and find it." Spare tire cover to keep it out of, or a spare tire carrier there to keep it out of the load space so they have more room for hauling things. And then on the bottom right here, just some compartments that we would put. So a lot of customization. Every customer, these trucks are all very similar, but a lot of our customers have subtle, customized things that they want. So from paints to decal wrapping to adding knickknacks and drawers for tools and parts, all kind of things that we get into, all things we find ourselves doing. So that's what we do. Briefly, our history. My father founded this company in 1991. He was working for another related company that was based out of Atlanta. That company went out of business. He found himself without a job. And at the time, I was about 10 years old and had a younger brother and sister. And he said, well, we got to figure something out. So he started the company as a one-man show in 91. And that top picture is the first building that we had. In 97, the growth was such that he built a new facility over in Eastlake that we were in until March of this year. And the growth continued. My brother and I joined the company. My brother in 2007 and myself in 2011. We continued to grow, so much so that we outgrew our Eastlake facility. We leased for the better part of 5 years a building in St. Elmo for our service operation. We do new production, building the new trucks. We also do a lot of service work on equipment that's already out there. So we outgrew our facility in Eastlake. We were landlocked, so we leased the building in St. Elmo for about 5 years. And then in December of 22, after a couple of false starts, largely due to the COVID, we broke ground on a new facility in the industrial park off Amnicola, and we moved into the new building in March of this year. So we are just a couple of months into our new facility and have already found that we're using every square inch of it. So the growth did not stop for us in the time that we broke ground to now. And I was telling Sarah a second ago, when we broke ground, we've almost doubled our employee count since breaking ground on the new building. So we were quite literally tripping over each other at the old building and are very, very thankful to be in our new space over in the industrial park. So these are some shots of the new building. You can see in the top right the outside, but we've more than doubled our footprint from our Eastlake facility and the building we were leasing in St. Elmo. We took both buildings' square footage, we doubled both, and have found that we probably could have stood to make it a little bigger, but nonetheless, we're glad to be there. We're glad to have the space we need to operate and continue to grow and continue to hire folks, and that's what we're doing every day. So on the bottom left, you can see we've got, I think at a count last week, we had 150 chassis on our lot waiting for equipment to be upfitted, which is quite a few. On the left is right before we moved in there in the center. That's my dad, my brother, and myself. And above that, on the top left, that was a picture I took last week, actually, of a full shop with trucks being built and people working hard. And over there on the right, you see our team hanging out. We had lunch over there right before we moved in. And bottom right is our paint booth. We've got a big full paint booth in there, so we get into a lot of paint. We do a lot of the Line-X type spray, like in the back of a pickup truck. We do that in all these trucks as well. Bottom center is just an example of a decal wrap we do. So we are fully up and running in the new building, and it's been great, and we're quite excited to be there and would welcome any of you to come and visit at any time and see it and show you a little bit more. And yeah, so be happy to answer any questions anybody has, but we're grateful for the opportunity to be here, and thank y'all for it.
I got a couple of questions, please. What's your total number of employees?
Right now, we are just above 40. I believe we had a gentleman who moved, and I think we're at 41 or 42. We had a guy leave last week for a family move, but just over 40.
Full-time?
I'm sorry?
Full-time?
Yes,
Wow.
full-time.
Do you give military preference in hiring?
I wouldn't say we give a preference, but we have plenty of veterans that work for us. I think we're up to 4 or 5 veterans we have now. It's not it's certainly something that is great, and we are proud to have our veterans that we have employed. But yes, sir.
Looking at your manufacturing, looks like it's a lot of skilled labor. Are you able to find the skilled labor here in the Chattanooga area for welding? And I mean, this is all custom build stuff, so.
It is. An interesting thing to note is that we're largely an assembler, so we do very little actual manufacturing. So we represent several manufacturers of this type of equipment. The 2 largest manufacturers that we represent are companies out of Iowa that make crane bodies and cranes for these types of trucks. So we are a distributor for them and several other types. So we are assemblers. We do not manufacture any of this equipment. We get into some small fabrication almost daily. You know, we're always having to make things fit and come up with solutions and things like that. So while we're not manufacturing any of this equipment, we are assembling it.
Okay.
So to answer your question, it is skilled labor, but it is also very trainable, right? So if someone has an inclination or, related experience and, similar, maybe not, it's hard to find people that have a lot of experience in the truck equipment industry. It's kind of a niche. But we can train people that have the inclination and the skill set. So we have a training program in place for that.
Sure. Nick, one thing I was wondering about, I've represented a whole lot of fire departments and I've represented a lot of folks, water companies. We have 3 different water companies here in the Chattanooga area that are involved. And I was curious about your fire hydrant lifter here. How many of our folks actually have those?
I believe they've got maybe 2 of those and this is Tennessee American that we did those.
We also have Hickson Utility and we also have East Side, and I wonder, do they have those? Because water leaks are pretty big things causing damage to the roadway surface whenever they occur.
We've done some things with Hickson. We've done a lot with, obviously not here, we've done a lot with Catoosa. We've done, we get into the local utilities from time to time. But American Water has become a bigger account for us through the relationships here. That's expanded on into Maryland, Virginia, American Water as well. So we've kind of grown from the local guys to expanding with that.
Yeah, but a lot of people don't know we have 3 different water companies
Right.
here in Chattanooga, so
Yeah.
it's important to be able to do that. And
Be happy to chat with them and come up with some solutions for them.
all right, thank you.
One more question. With 40 employees, are you hiring? Are you short or?
We're always hiring and for different things at different times. I've got ads running right now what we found when we moved into the new building is that we were able to very quickly get in there, which was great. We didn't lose a lot of production time in the move, which, as you imagine, this is a little more challenging than packing up your dishes and your books at your house and moving all this equipment across town was a lot. But we managed to knock it out fairly quickly. Immediately production increased. We've been able to put out more trucks than we ever have, but that growth meant, okay, well now we've got to go back and we've got to build up the support side. So I'm currently looking for help in shipping and receiving, help in our warehouse, helping our retail parts side. We do a lot of retail parts sales as well, so I'm actively looking for parts folks. E-commerce is kind of a new horizon for us that a lot of folks in our industry are not really taking advantage of, and it's a big opportunity, so we're trying to grow that. So I'd say right now I've got 3 or 4 jobs posted, and we're always looking for good technicians and folks to build the trucks and back-end support as well.
How broad is your market?
Quite broad. We send a lot of the big fleet accounts that we have. A lot of the big heavy equipment folks are regional. So, for example, we do a lot with Stowers Cat, who's based out of Knoxville, but they're the Caterpillar for East Tennessee. So we send trucks for them all over Tennessee. One of our largest accounts is H&E Equipment Rentals. They're based out of Baton Rouge. They have a branch here in Chattanooga. They've got branches all over the country. We send trucks literally all over the country for them. So it's really account dependent, but some of them are quite large and have a presence all over the country. So we have trucks with our mud flaps all over the U.S. A lot of people think we make mud flaps, actually. We put our logo, it's a great little billboard for us, but sometimes we get angry calls from people that were cut off by a truck with our mud flaps, and I say, I'm sorry, we built that truck, but that's not presently ours, so you'll have to take it up with the owner.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve this resolution.
I appreciate that. Before we get the second, could I have Jermaine or Sarah, do you want to explain exactly what the grant will cover that we're making?
Thank you. So for those of you who are newer, first of all, Jermaine Freeman from the Kelly administration. For those of you who are newer to the board, the Growing Small Business Grant is a grant that it's probably the city's longest running small business incentive tool that we've used now for almost 10 years. And so it basically provides a cash award for companies that have created at least 5 full-time jobs. And then it also provides it has the potential to provide a little bit of reimbursement for companies that have not only created at least 5 full-time jobs, but that have also secured some equipment or have some equipment needs that they need to be reimbursed for. The maximum award amount for any given award is $10,000, which I believe is the award amount that's come before you this morning. And so this has probably been the most popular of the city's grant programs. It is also the longest running, and it is tailor-made for small businesses because businesses that exceed 100 employees are not eligible to apply for this grant. So it is tailor-made for small businesses. So.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Rogers. We do have a motion. Is there a second on this resolution?
Second.
We have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Resolution passes. Congratulations.
Thank you all very much. We
Thank you.
appreciate it greatly. Come see us.
Thank you very much. Under other business, we have one item, which is an FYI review of the Comptroller of the Treasury's letter regarding our financial report. To whom does that fall? Coming in.
Eleanor, will you present that or not? Nope? Okay. Never mind.
They were supposed to be meeting to talk about this, but they never happened.
Okay. Interesting. Well, we will note that we discussed that item to the best of our limited ability, and if the comptroller has anything he would like to share with us in the future, we will await.
Well, I can give you my end of it here.
Please.
Since we actually got a copy that was sent to the board on April the 15th, and it's in your packet on here on the back page on here. Henderson Hutchinson has been doing our accounting work for the board. And the reason that we thought that it was something that was important is it said that the following was observed during the review of the financial report, and the statement of net position reported a deficit unrestricted net position balance of $221,000 at year end, and management should take steps to ensure this deficit is eliminated. And that was the reason that we brought it up to the board, at least for review at this point in time. And it may be just simply an accounting method that we have here with the city that is causing that to occur. But they were using the, I guess, the GASB method. You're beyond the lawyer's understanding here is the reason I was wondering about that, Eleanor.
That dollar amount is recording the liability
Yes,
that we have 3 TIFs on the books so far.
right.
because the third TIF with East Chattanooga Rising, we have a interest payment due.
Right.
First year was $221,000, second year $141,000. But at the same time, the TIF tax payments came in, it's less than $10,000
Okay.
first year. Second year is $14,000. So there's a big difference between what we received, what we're able to send it out, with what's due. So I recorded that payable for later to pay.
Right.
Once, if hopefully eventually the tax payment come in, we'll cover all the interest expense. But until then, I have no choice to record a payable.
Right.
Of course, if somebody else tell me that for one reason or another, this entry can be suspended, then I can remove it. That's why I was hoping someone else tell me maybe there's sound reason for this re-entry can be omitted somehow. So until that happens, I don't know what I can do.
Right.
And we have a June 30th coming up. This means the fiscal year is ending. I'm about to do the same thing again, unless someone tell me we can change our accounting method.
Right.
So hopefully meeting will come up soon and we can discuss this.
Who would you need to hear from, Eleanor, to get the feedback as far as whether you have any other options? The accountants?
Yes, along with, I think Phil was supposed to be part of the meeting, along with our CFO and also with our attorney, Mark Mametov, because he's very experienced in the TIF, the procedures. So we're hoping to hear from him what he can provide, because he can tell us other cities, IDBs, when they run into similar situation, what was their solution? So hopefully that meeting will take place, then we can come up with a solution.
I would appreciate that if that meeting is something that can be convened. I think if we're out of protocol, we should respond to this letter. So I would maybe encourage you to meet and
Sure.
come to some resolution about how this should be handled. And then if that's maybe something we can discuss at our next meeting,
Yes.
I'd be happy to sign a letter just to respond to the comptroller's concerns. But I take your point entirely. I think this is not that big of a deal, but I do want to make sure it's discussed properly and addressed in a way in writing back to them.
Yes, we will have to respond to the State Control Office,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, would it be appropriate for you to, if maybe we table this topic and put it on the next agenda, just so we stay on top of it? Obviously, the comptroller here in the next paragraph is talking about fair presentation.
Yeah.
And to me, this is pretty important.
I would be happy to make sure it stays on the agenda for next month. I don't know that the board needs to take any action, so to speak, but I do want to make sure everybody understands what we're talking about and what we're doing before we issue any kind of response. So let's make sure we have some conclusion on it next month if possible. Okay?
And for simplicity purposes as well, tax increment financing is involved whenever you have large improvements that may be made here, and they're asking for that to come back from the tax sources that this board has approved. But until I guess the taxation amounts increase here for the property, then that's the issue, and it may be just a timing thing that is causing that to occur.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. Thanks, Eleanor. Keep us posted. We'll look to hear from you again.
Didn't mean to spring it on you. All right.
Yeah, next month. Speaking of next month, before we adjourn, I did want to note that our next meeting is scheduled for the 1st of July, which I believe is the time when we'll need to vote on our chair and vice chair and so forth. So if we, please make sure that's noted for your calendar, because we do need to have a quorum for that. Any other items for discussion before we take a motion to adjourn?
Mr. Chairman, I was not here at the last meeting, and I apologize, but I do notice in the minutes where it talks about the update on pilot policies and procedures, we're expected to have a draft at our May meeting, which of course we didn't have, and here we are in June, and is there someone here who could give us an update?
Jermaine, do you mind to update us on that?
Sure. So we, again, Jermaine Freeman from the administration. So thank you for the question, Mr. Rogers. So we are anticipating that a draft will actually come before you for the July meeting. At this point, during our last session, I believe that the board expressed some interest in being able to communicate with their city council representatives for the same districts. And so as you all have done that, we, over in the administration from our Department of Economic Development, have used that time to not only continue to work on the pilot policies, but we have also been engaged and involved in several things that are not related to pilot policies regarding workforce development and affordable housing initiatives that the administration has been pursuing. So we have used that time to work on those things as well. I would also note, for those of you who maybe missed it, but the Deputy Secretary of the U.S. Department of Energy was here on Friday to really sort of heap praise on a company called Novonix, which was originally based in Lookout Valley, but has now expanded into a downtown facility in the building that is the former, houses the former Alstom plant. Novonix is, of course, growing, and they are now the recipient of a large amount of federal assistance from the U.S. Department of Energy as they continue to manufacture and expand and grow their synthetic graphite manufacturing structure, which is used to produce graphite for electric vehicles and electric cars. I say all of that because as we work on our pilot policies, I just wanted to remind the board that the success that Novonix is enjoying today does not happen in a vacuum. Novonix was a pilot recipient that this board issued a pilot to back in 2021. It was the first jobs pilot of the Kelly administration. And so when we come to you and ask for your assistance in helping to further economic development and to create jobs in our community, Novonix is an example is a great example of how all of those pieces sort of fit together. And so I just wanted to share that information with those of you who may have missed that visit that was in the news. But in any event, we do anticipate that we will come back to you with the Chamber's help with the final draft of the pilot policies for the July meeting. And then hopefully we can all get something passed and move on. So,
Sounds good.
all right.
Thank you, Mr. Rogers. Any other questions about that particular project or anything else from the staff? Any other items for this board to discuss or consider? If not, I'll be happy to hear a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. We are adjourned.